WFI precedent of corruption, sexual harassment, torture, exploitation, and even death threats. As the protests continue, the wrestlers say more and more women are contacting them to level charges against the WFI precedent. After a late-night meeting on Thursday, the wrestlers met Sports Minister Anurag Thakur today to list their grievances. Sources have told CNN News 18 that the government will form a 3-member committee to address their charges, while the Indian Olympic Association has also assured action, forming a 7-member committee which includes Mary Kom and Yogeshwar Dutt. Brij Bhusan Singh is also a 6-time member of parliament from Uttar Pradesh and has served as the president of the WFI for over 10 years. The tremors of this controversy are also being seen on his turf like Gonda, where wrestlers today boycotted a wrestling event in solidarity with protest at Jantar Mantar. Brij Bhusan Singh has said that he will not resign from his post, adding that he will expose the conspiracy behind the protests. In fact, we were expecting a press conference by the WFI chief, but he sent his son, BJP MLA Pratik Bhushan, who said that his father will be speaking only at a later stage. He also said that the federation has sent a reply to the sports ministry and a meeting of the body is scheduled for January 22nd. Meanwhile, a member of the WFI sexual harassment panel spoke to CNN News 18, saying that Sakshi Malik, one of the protesters, was a member of the panel but never raised any complaints. Further asking how can action be taken by the committee if nothing comes on record. For now, it's all a clash of charges. But no one can deny that the allegations are serious, and they have been raised by nation's most decorated athletes. The most important thing is to get to the bottom of these charges, as they indicate a culture of sexual harassment in the WFI. For that, isn't it incumbent on the WFI chief to step down to ensure a free and fair investigation? We have Rajkumar Sangwan, former Arjuna awardee, joining me. Rahul Mehra is a sports activist and a senior advocate. We have Sudhanshu Mittal, former vice president of Indian Olympic Association, and Varsha Chaudhary is a wrestler. Rahul Mehra, with Brij Bhusan Singh digging in his heels and refusing to quit, what will this panel, which has been created by the IOA, really achieve? How fair will be the probe?
Well, in my eyes, and with my experience, and I hope I'm proved wrong, this has now been given a slow burial. Unfortunately, the panel will now, first of all, it will take its own time, if it's not a time-bound one. And secondly, most likely, nothing much is going to come out of this for the athletes. With all due respect to the PT Ushas and the Mary Koms, I think the government will be able to steer all of this through now. As I started by saying, I hope, I'm an eternal optimist. I've been fighting all of this in court for almost 22 years. But I've seen enough of things, how things are managed behind the scene, how backroom channel talks happen, how things are buried, how slow death is given to almost everything in this country. Unfortunate that, this man has not been even asked to step aside. The federation has not been suspended. So
you are of the opinion that there should be a complete overhaul of the federation, and pending inquiry, this man should step down, and that hasn't happened. I'm going to get a quick word from Sudhanshu Mittal before I go to my reporter who is joining me live from outside Sports Minister's home. Sudhanshu Mittal, the fact here is that there may be charges, counter charges, but it's about ensuring that the wrestlers feel that they have someone to listen to. And if the charges are being leveled against this man who is on a television screens, he cannot continue to say कि मैं मुझे elect किया गया है इसलिए मैं continue करूंगा और ये सब conspiracy है.
I would agree with what you are saying to the extent that let the ministry or the Indian Olympic Association look at the specific charge. You see, unfortunate part is that while it is being talked in generality, a specific incident, a specific charge is not being leveled. And in the absence of a specific charge, how would you hang a man? for you to take action against anybody, prima facie, there must be some specific charge. You just heard today, there is an audio of half an hour which talks about something to do with the vice president. We are alleging that the president of the Wrestling Federation of India has sexually harassed. So unless there is a charge against, a specific charge against the Wrestling Federation president, how do you think anybody will take action?
No, but the girls are saying
How would
it.
the government take action?
Vinesh
How would the
Phogat and
Indian
others
Olympic-
are saying that there are
They're not
specific
saying-
charges. They are
they're
talking
not-
about sexual harassment.
What? They should give the specific charge to these people. Nah? They have to come up with a specific charge. Nah? Merely saying that there are specific charges doesn't make it a specific charge.
Okay, Rahul
It is
Mehra, respond.
generality.
You know,
You have to say- you have to
is this entire charge versus counter charge more in the space of generality? Even if it is in the
Yeah,
space of
because-
generality, he should
it's
step
okay.
down.
How-
that should be the
how-
first step.
No,
So
no,
let
how
me,
would
with
the
all due
government?
respect-
How would the
with all
government?
due-
Just
with
can I
all
finish?
due-
Can I just
with all
finish?
due-
Okay,
Can I
okay,
just
okay,
finish?
okay. Sudhanshu Mittal. Yes,
give
go
me
ahead.
just one.
Yes.
Just give me.
Yes.
See, government is a responsible body. Indian Olympic Association is a responsible body. They will act forthwith the moment there is specific allegation pointed out to them. They will act. But the problem which is arising today is in the absence of anything specific. As I just told you, in the name of specific, what is being mentioned is there's a half an hour video against the
No,
vice
that is the
president.
subject of
No, it's not video, it's
investigation.
against the vice
You know, when we
president.
have
No,
this
it's not
committee that has been formed, it's a subject of
no.
investigation. You
Yes,
cannot
but
have the man who
understand,
is the
prima
center
facie,
of this entire allegation, against whom all
Prima
the
facie.
allegations are being leveled, continue on that position. He
Pri-
will be
prima
influencing
facie-
the
Can I
investigation.
respond? Can I please
Prima
respond?
Yes, please.
facie, yes, please go ahead.
Rahul Mehra.
With all due respect to Mr. Mittal, who is a senior member of the IOA and is conflicted in that sense, obviously he's going to defend the IOA and say a lot of things in favor of IOA. It's the same body for last 12 years and for last almost more than 50 years. 12 years, I say,
We are
from the
talking about
code
the
when the
specific.
sports-
No, we are talking about the specific.
Mr.
case.
Mittal, I didn't
Do not
interject.
digress. Do not
Please
digress. No,
extend-
this is unfair.
please extend the
we are
same
talking
courtesy.
about what the
I-
wrestlers are doing.
you know, I
Let's
can't-
debate
I can't-
IOA at some other forum. Let us
Can I-
talk about this specific situation
I'm not
which
going to be-
the wrestlers are addressing to.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
let's just
Rahul
limit
Mehra,
ourselves to
let
that.
Can I-
let
Don't
Rahul
let-
Mehra
don't
speak,
let me
please.
hunting
Yes.
Is Mr. Mittal going to tell me what to say on national television?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Obviously not. I'm not dictating my.
Rahul
comment.
Mehra, speak, please.
I'm going to request you to talk about the issue.
I'm
Not
sorry,
digress
you-
and talk about Indian
please-
Olympic Association. We are
please-
not
please-
debating Indian Olympic Association here.
No, no, he is not talking
We are
about it
debating
either.
What has been alleged by the wrestlers?
Yeah, let's talk about the wrestlers and the
Hey,
charges. And
excuse
of
me.
course, you know, Indian Olympic Association, other sporting bodies are all under the scanner now because of the nature of
Correct.
allegation.
Now, just
They are
allow me
on
to
the
complete.
channel.
Yes, Rahul Mehra now,
Debating-
please.
Can I-
Rahul
can I-
Mehra. Yes.
Mr. Mittal, can you just
Yes, Rahul
can you
Mehra.
just lower? Can you just lower the volume of Mr. Mittal because I'm
Okay,
going to
please
say
go
certain
ahead,
things.
Rahul Mehra.
No, so please allow me. Allow me, please. You know, I understand people have to develop appetite on national television to hear the counterpoint also. Now, I didn't interject. I expect the same courtesy. So there are 3 points that I want to place before you and through your medium to the audience. Number one, it is the same IOA which defended almost all irregularities, 14 issues, which I took to court for 12 years, one of which is this and many others, which are now in the Supreme Court. All of them are being looked into. There is large-scale reforms which are being initiated. This is that body which is now going to investigate the episode which has happened and the series of charges which are being leveled. I have zero confidence in this body. This body in itself is ridden in controversy and with all illegalities. That's point number one. The recent elections which have happened, the government of India has handpicked players whom they thought were the players who would favor the government, and they have planted them out there. That's number two. Number three, you know, all this will be decided in the court. Number three, more important, I'm going to show you 2 documents. One from the website of Wrestling Federation of India, one from the website of the Government of India, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Please open page 85, 86, 87 of the National Sports Development Code of India, which is a directive from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to all national sports federations, including Wrestling Federation of India, that in order to get annual recognition, and in case they don't want to be suspended or de-recognized, they must have a prevention of sexual harassment rules,
And
norms,
where
committees
is that
which should be
committee?
constituted.
So you are,
and
yes. So if
allow
there
me.
is,
Please allow me.
if there is no committee of this nature, then the larger question is, shouldn't this be disbanded in the worst, with the word
Can
go?
I
Yes,
just
Rahul.
complete?
Yes.
Just 30 seconds more and I'll complete my point. So there is this violation by the Wrestling Federation of India. Violation of this sort invites suspension and derecognition by the Government of India.
And that has
Ministry
not
of Youth
happened.
Affairs, Sports. Number two, more important is this document from the Wrestling Federation of India. It proves that Wrestling Federation of India has fudged its own website under public pressure over last 2 days. Earlier, an ethics committee has been now given the nomenclature of sexual harassment committee. And it has, out of 5 members, 4 members are male members, when under the sexual harassment committee, under the law and the act, there has to be laid down by the Supreme Court.
That's right.
There has to be a majority of members who are
Yes.
supposed to
So
be
you
women,
have raised
and the
questions which are
chairperson
very
has to be women.
specific. I'll go back to Sudhanshu Mittal, but before that, let me go straight to Sports Minister's home, where Arun Dhata is joining me live. Arun Dhata, there have been 2 meetings with the Sports Minister in the last 24 hours, and it appears that both these meetings have been inconclusive. Will the wrestlers be continuing with the protest even tomorrow? What is the view within the government?
Well, Maria, at this juncture, it is very difficult to say as to what is happening inside that meeting. Of course, on the part of the government and the sports ministry, we are seeing efforts are being done because wrestlers had gone to meet the sports ministry officials first, and then the sports minister himself came back to Delhi, and yesterday a marathon meeting of 4 hours took place here at his residence. And again, today the wrestlers are inside, and it's been 3 hours since they are inside, and the meeting is still underway. And in fact, yesterday when the meeting was taking place, wrestlers were very adamant on 2 demands. A, they wanted the sacking of Brij Bhusan Singh Saran, and secondly, dismantling of the entire organization. We are also told that sports minister has briefed them what is possible, what is feasible for them, and therefore he suggested a committee's suggestion. A committee can be formed where people whom they like can be part of that committee, but it is very difficult to dissolve the committee, because there is a proper process. There is a charter under which the Wrestling Federation of India functions. So therefore it is not going to be an easy task for them to go ahead and what they are demanding by dismantling the Wrestling Federation of India is easy for them. And therefore, when again the wrestlers delegation arrived here at around 7 p.m. we had seen the sports ministry officials once again coming here, going inside. They are also part of the meeting, and in fact the Sports Authority of India DG is also inside. So government on their part is trying their level best to find out a solution, a middle way.
But will there be a solution, and can there be a solution? Will it happen today itself? All these are questions, because if these champions go back to Jantar Mantar tomorrow, then certainly it will be a signal that all these talks have been inconclusive. Arun Dhata, I'm going to come back to you in just a bit, but let me go back to the panelists and bring in Rajkumar Sangwan. Rajkumar Sangwan, ये जो protest हो रहा है, ये larger question raise कर रहे हैं of the nature in which various sporting bodies are functioning. Is this the culture of sexual harassment, of exploitation?
जी, इतने संगीन आरोप हैं हमारे रेसलिंग फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया के प्रेसिडेंट के अगेंस्ट में, तो क्यों नहीं सरकार संज्ञान ले रही अब तक? क्यों नहीं हमारे रेसलर आज तक एफआईआर दर्ज करवा रहे? दोनों बहुत बड़े मैटर हैं। इन दोनों में आप देख सकते हैं कि क्यों नहीं हमारे इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से आप ये चीजें कर पा रहे हैं।
So, आपका कहना है कि जो प्रोटेस्टिंग रेसलर्स हैं, उनका ये भी डिमांड है कि ये जो पूरी कमिटी है वर्ल्ड रेसलिंग फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया, उसको डिसबैंड कर देना चाहिए, एक नई कमिटी को बनाना चाहिए। आपको लगता है ये फेयर डिमांड है? और ब्रिजभूषण सिंह क्या वो कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं इस
बिल्कुल
पोस्ट पर?
क्लियर है, क्योंकि अगर आपके ऊपर ये आरोप लगे हैं सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट के, तो आपको इमीडिएटली रिजाइन करना चाहिए। और अगर वो ठीक है, मैं एग्री करता हूं कि अगर आपके आरोप अगर सिद्ध नहीं होंगे तो आप वापिस ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर आप उस पोस्ट पे रहेंगे तो आप इतने पावरफुल हैं कि वो न्याय नहीं हो सकता। तो मेरा मानना है कि आप रिजाइन कीजिए। अपने आरोप अगर आपके ऊपर सिद्ध नहीं होते तो फिर आप वापस ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। लेकिन हमारे जो इतने बड़े एथलीट हैं, इतने बड़े रेसलर हैं, उन्होंने आपके ऊपर आरोप लगाए हैं, तो उनका संज्ञान हमारी भारत सरकार को और हमारे लोगों को और हमारी रेसलिंग फेडरेशन को लेना है।
Sudhanshu Mittal, point well taken. You know, what Mr. Sangwan is saying is very well argued, that if he is clean, then he can come back. For the moment, given the nature of allegation, he must step down, and then only can there be a free and fair probe, because he is the president of the federation, and the charge is directly against the president himself. It's not about any other official. And he cannot brazen it out, Sudhanshu Mittal.
See, Maria, resignation or not, I mean, that is for him and for the government to say. I'm not a spokesman for him or for the Wrestling Federation of India. I'm looking at it from the perspective of what is happening. My only this thing is that when you make an allegation of sexual harassment, it should be a specific allegation. It can't be talked in generalities. And if there are concerns about repercussions, please take the government into confidence, or please take the Indian Olympic Association into confidence, or the police into confidence. Take somebody into confidence for a specific charge. You know, like I'll tell you the contradiction. Today, I saw that the same people saying, we have a half an hour audio clip which talks about sexual harassment by vice president. Now, your charge was against the president, and now you are saying we have it against the vice president and not against the president. Such contradictory statements will erode the credibility and the seriousness of what is being done. And look, mind you, while they're all accomplished wrestlers who have brought laurels, that itself does not say that because they've done that, that's the gospel truth. For the simple reason, you have a Sushil Kumar, who was the first hero of wrestling, who was the first medalist in the Olympics. He's in jail for murder. So let's not use these analogies
because
to
you are trying to,
vagueness.
Sudhanshu Mittal, you are essentially saying and questioning the entire process, and you're also saying that, is the allegation really something that they
I
have
want
not
the
said
allegation
specific?
to be out there.
Okay, Rajkumar Sangwan.
All I'm saying is,
राजकुमार संगवान, आपने सुधांशु मित्तल की बात सुनी। उनका कहना है कि अगर स्पेसिफिक चार्ज नहीं दे रहे हैं या स्पेसिफिक एलिगेशन नहीं लगा रहे हैं तो क्यों रिजाइन करें ये ब्रिजभूषण?
देखिए मैम, ये इतना एक क्रिटिकल इश्यू है कि सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट के बावजूद भी अगर आप रिजाइन नहीं दे रहे तो इससे बड़ा कोई आरोप लग नहीं सकता। आपको पहले रिजाइन देना होगा, उसके बाद आप इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेंगे। अगर वहां पे अगर आप पास साफ निकलते हैं तो आप वापस ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। तो सबसे पहली बात मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि आप इस अगर पोस्ट पर रहते हैं तो आप इस पोस्ट के जो आपके ऊपर आरोप लगे हैं उसके ऊपर न्याय नहीं होगा, तो आप रिजाइन कीजिए। उसके बाद अगर आप पास साफ हैं तो आप जो कमेटी बनेगी, जो भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया आपके ऊपर अगर आपके आरोप सिद्ध नहीं होते तो आप वापस ज्वाइन कीजिए, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। लेकिन जो हमारे ग्रेट एथलीट ने जो आरोप लगाए हैं,
हाँ, नहीं, सांगवान जी, नहीं, I'll come to you, Sudhanshu Mittal, one moment. He is a former Arjuna awardee. I want to understand from you, सांगवान जी, जो आरोप है बहुत गंभीर है, इसीलिए आप भी बोल रहे हैं और हम भी ये मानते हैं कि उनको इस्तीफा तो देना ही चाहिए, तभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा, वरना जिस तरह का जो चार्ज लगा है वो सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट है, ये बहुत ही ग्रेव चार्ज है। उनका कहना है कंस्पिरेसी की बात कर रहे हैं, और अभी जो सुधांशु मित्तल बोल रहे हैं कि आधा घंटे का जो टेप है, जो ऑडियो क्लिप है, जो ये प्रोटेस्टिंग रेसलर्स दिखा रहे हैं, उसमें वो बोलते हैं कि वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के अगेंस्ट में है लेकिन प्रेसिडेंट के अगेंस्ट में नहीं है, और रेजिग्नेशन प्रेसिडेंट की मांग रहे हैं। तो ये सब जो पॉइंट्स ये लोग बोल रहे हैं, आप इसको किस तरह से देखते हैं और आपका क्या लगता है? जो मैं अपना व्यू बता रही हूँ इसमें, यहाँ पर साफ है ये ओलंपियंस हैं और इनके डिमांड को फुलफिल करना चाहिए। उनका डिमांड है क्लीन अप, and that is the only way cleanup will happen. Until and unless this man resigns, there cannot be any free and fair probe. Go ahead.
जी मैम, देखिए ये इतने गंभीर आरोप हैं सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट के, आप और हम सब और पूरा देश समझ सकता है कि ये इतने गंभीर आरोप हैं। मैं समझ सकता हूं कि ये बहुत अच्छे प्रेसिडेंट रहे हैं, रेसलिंग के रहे हैं, इन्होंने अच्छे काम भी किए हैं, लेकिन उसके बावजूद अगर आपके ऊपर अगर ये है सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट के आरोप हैं तो नेचुरली इसमें आपको आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते। अगर ये आरोप सिद्ध नहीं होते तो आप
वापस आ जाइए, तब तक आप लेकिन रिजाइन करिए, वो क्लैरिटी है और यही होना भी चाहिए। दैट इज द ओनली वे दिस एंटायर प्रोसेस is the way it can move. Rahul Mehra, given the nature of allegation, and I'm going to specify again and again that these are men and women who have brought laurels to the country. They should be ideally practicing and preparing for the games that are scheduled for this year, and they have been forced to sit on a dharna only because they realized that they had no way out. Imagine their desperation.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to argue on emotions or on laurels. I'm a man of law. I'm going to argue on legal issues.
Yes, please.
There is a sports code which is legal, mandatory, and binding on national sports federations. The provision under the sports code says that you can be derecognized and suspended for violation of, if in case any provision has been violated. The biggest provision out here which we are discussing is on what are the rules and regulations, and is there a document, is there a committee dealing with prevention of sexual harassment? The ministry has been asking and telling everybody that we have no powers. This is an independent body. Ministry has the biggest power of recognition and derecognition. In case somebody, a body which is chronic violator, has been violating your rules for last 12 and a half years, surely the ministry has the power, though not the will, to derecognize and suspend this body. Number two, the same document which I had referred to at page 87. Let me just read one sentence.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Criminal proceedings where such conduct amounts to a specific offense under the Indian Penal Code or under any other law, and this includes the prevention of sexual harassment law, the NSF shall initiate appropriate action in accordance with law by making a complaint with the appropriate authority. Has Wrestling Federation of India, being the NSF, or can that particular Wrestling Federation of India initiate a criminal proceeding or any other proceeding against their president under this particular provision on sexual harassment? The answer is no. If not, then the man has to go, because unless and until he goes, his people, because he has been unanimously elected over 3 terms, so you have to assume all those people are in sync with what this president is capable of and the power that he yields. Under the provision, it is the NSF which has to lodge the complaint. Obviously, you can't expect the puppets to lodge a complaint against their own puppeteer. So therefore, it is an untenable case as per the legal provisions of the sports code, which are mandatory and binding. There is no other way that I see that the ministry...
Yes, let's go with this specific then, Sudhanshu Mittal. First, why is there no sexual harassment committee, which is mandatory?
I understand that there is a sexual harassment committee of the Wrestling Federation of India, because that's a statement I saw.
Absolutely wrong. I have the document in front of me. Absolutely wrong.
Please.
Mr. Mittal, get your facts right. Please don't
finish. Allow me to finish.
Please
allow me to finish.
Please don't say things.
Please allow me to finish.
Don't say things contrary to record.
I have a right to my argument.
But not to lie on national television.
Why are you being so impatient?
Not to lie on national television.
If there is a violation, let the action be taken. That is the statement. As I said, I hold no brief from the Wrestling Federation of India, or for that matter, from anybody. I am looking at things on the merits. And please allow me to finish. I am taking, as I said, See, all this hinges on one thing. Has a specific allegation been made against anybody or not?
Doesn't matter.
Unless there is a specific allegation which is made against anybody, nobody can be hanged. You can't hang somebody on the basis of hearsay. You have to hang him on the basis of a specific incident or a specific complaint. Unfortunate part of the story is there is nothing specific which is being said. It is all talked in. Do you know one of the demands? What is the demand? The demand is you please dissolve not only the Wrestling Federation of India, have his resignation, dissolve the Wrestling Federation of India, and also dissolve all the state units of Wrestling Federation of India. Now, what is the crime the state units have committed?
But then dissolving the Wrestling Federation of India, is that the only way out?
Can I please respond?
No, but is it a way out?
No, but Sudhanshu Mittal, one point is that the man who is at the center of these allegations is the president of this. No, he is facing charges of sexual harassment.
Can I respond?
There is a charge. That is what I'm saying. Please make a charge at least. I am only saying that please make a specific charge and hang him. I have no issues. As I said, I hold no brief for him. I'm saying please make a specific charge and hang him. But if you do not make a specific charge, who will hang him? Would any court hang him? Would any police hang him? Would any ministry hang him? Who will hang him if there is no specific thing? Nobody says I've been harassed.
But
nobody says this is what he did.
Sudhanshu Mittal, he can resume his role after he is clean. I mean, if the charges do not hold. That is not something. There is a nature of this allegation. He should step down, and that is the only way out of it. Mr. Sangwan, I have the final words. Mr. Sangwan जी, इस तरह का जो आरोप लग रहा है, आप क्या मानते हैं? ये पूरे इंडियन स्पोर्ट्स पर एक काला धब्बा हो रहा है?
जी बिल्कुल, अगर इस तरह की बातें अगर की जाएंगी तो हम क्या उम्मीद कर सकते हैं कि इंडियन ओलंपिक में मेडल लेके आएंगे, एशियन गेम्स में मेडल आएंगे? ये बहुत नेगेटिव चीजें हैं और मैं सोच भी नहीं सकता कि ऐसी चीजें हमारे यहाँ पे प्रसारित होंगी या हमारे जो एक कह सकता हूँ कि जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के अंदर हैं वो लोग ये बातें सोच सकते हैं.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Sudhanshu Mittal, Rahul Mehra, Rajkumar Sangwan. It's becoming increasingly untenable for this man who is the WFI president to continue. The question is that how will he go if he has decided to dig in his heels? Will there be a way out, and what really is the way out? We'll continue to track that story very closely. Shifting focus to debate 2. There is a political face-off over the Pfizer vaccine, which has come under fire across the globe. Pfizer CEO was confronted in Davos, accused of rolling out an expensive yet ineffective vaccine at the beginning of the pandemic. Details have emerged in the past few weeks that there was data integrity issues in connection to the vaccine trials. The company has been accused of reporting adverse events in phase 3 trials late and has even admitted to having misled the European Union Parliament over transmission prevention. While India was developing its own vaccines, Pfizer demanded an indemnity clause to roll it out in India, meaning it sought a liability waiver for an adverse impact. Now, after the Davos video went viral, Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar took to Twitter to slam the Congress, accusing it of lobbying for the Pfizer vaccine's rollout in India. He says that while the pharma giant tried to bully the government, the trio of Rahul Gandhi, P. Chidambaram and Jairam Ramesh kept pushing for the Pfizer vaccine. Now, Chandrasekhar has claimed vindication as the government denied granting the indemnity clause to Pfizer. Meanwhile, Jairam Ramesh hit back at the union minister, accusing him of spreading lies. Now, let's remember, vaccine information was in a constant state of flux at the beginning of the pandemic. Pfizer's vaccine was approved by the WHO and was one of the first vaccines in the market. The government maintained its focus on indigenous vaccines, which have proven to be more effective. I got that. And most Indians have been given either Covishield or they have taken Covaxin. While the Congress did question the vaccine police every step of the way. So has the government's stand being vindicated? Is the Congress guilty of playing politics, or did it simply raise questions?
We now know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission, but why did you keep it secret?
Have a nice day.
Shame on you, sir. Shame on you.
Joining me now, Rajiv Pandey, BJP spokesperson, Mahima Singh, spokesperson of the Congress Party, and Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta is JNU professor and member of National COVID Task Force. Mahima Singh, will all those who were speaking in favor of Pfizer, saying that Indians are being deprived, should they not compliment the government of not succumbing to the pressure of this company today?
Good evening, Maria. Good evening, all. Well, nobody was accusing the government of not, or nobody was speaking in favor of Pfizer, I would say. Our leaders were rather saying that when there are options available, and the findings have come only now, they were saying that if there are options available, we are all for foreign trade. And it would have been befitting for the consumer to decide on which vaccine do they want to go for. And right now we are talking about a government. I think this whole debate is not about whether the Congress leaders were right in talking about bringing in more options of vaccines or not. This whole debate is about how the government has been running away from its accountability. In fact, you have talked about a couple of things in the beginning. You were talking about indemnity. Let me say that we have a government here which wants to indemnify itself from its own subjects. Before the Supreme Court, it files an affidavit where it says, we are not responsible. You ask them who's responsible for the deaths due to oxygen shortage. They say there are no deaths and we are not responsible.
But we are talking about Pfizer right now, ma'am.
No data.
We are talking about how the government says that Pfizer, which obtained indemnity in many countries, including US and UK, the government of the day said that they have to be held accountable if there is a side effect or death. And that is the reason why Pfizer did not come to the Indian market. So the question is, so if the government at that time had decided to follow a proper protocol, they realized the ramifications of their decision. It was about life. It was about dealing with lives of Indians. Shouldn't, in the hindsight, let's look at it from the hindsight, ma'am. I'm not questioning why did the opposition question then. It was all within the rights, let the opposition question. But it's about looking at the events in hindsight. If you're looking at it in hindsight, would you not say that government was right, that they did not sign this indemnity clause?
In fact, if you look at it in the hindsight, is exactly when I would not say that the government was right, because if you look at it today, the findings are all upfront. And today, maybe, the other parties would have also maintained, or in fact, any conscious person would have maintained that, okay, this company is not, taking its accountability, so let's not bring it. But in hindsight, these findings were nowhere to be seen. Pfizer has been...
Okay, let's look at it from the point of view now. Rajiv Pandey, at that time, the Congress also, like anybody, did not have data on Pfizer. The company had also not put out the trial 3 data. So then why should this be seen as they questioning you wrongly?
Maria, there are 2 points on this question. One is that a foreign company, we know how these pharmaceutical companies across the globe are pressurizing and they are trying to book the profit. That company was pressurizing Indian government that you have to give liability waiver, which was rejected. At that time, Congress party in general and particularly these 3 leaders were saying, some organizations are saying that in India there will be 50 lakhs death will take place. This will happen, that will happen. At that time, government was working how to produce own vaccine.
Yes.
And trials were going on. You understand, Maria? Just give me some time. This is a very serious subject. So at that time, government took a decision under the leadership of Modi ji that we have to produce our own vaccine, and we did this with another company from UK, and that production started in India. And at that time, WHO was also playing in the hands of these pharma giants. They give certificate to this Pfizer, but they did not give a certificate our product. But government took this decision that we will get vaccinated every Indian. So that is one aspect. Second aspect, they were saying, there will be vaccine shortage, so you should import. Congress is a habitual offender on that count, that at several times, whether Russian deal, Bofor's deal, this deal, that deal, I cannot say because I do not have any information that why these three leaders were after the government that you do this and allow this.
Okay, why were they backing this pharma company is the question that is being asked. But before that, because we have to put this in context by National COVID Task Force member also, Dr. Gupta. Dr. Das Gupta, the question being raised here, and it's all emerging from the point of view that there were reporters who ambushed the Pfizer CEO asking very uncomfortable questions, asking questions that they should be held accountable. But the larger question is also about the WHO, the World Health Organization. It is about them being held criminally liable as well. Just look at what they did. Without this company providing all the data, this is the company which gets the certificate from WHO, but Indian vaccine is, and there are multiple levels of checks that Indian vaccines had to undergo, and we have seen the result. How India managed its entire vaccine story.
Thank you. If I got your question correctly, there are several parts to it. I'll try my best to respond as clearly as possible. First, essentially, I'll leave aside the political framing to the politicians. Essentially, what we are trying to understand is how did this vaccine governance work both globally as well as from India's point of view. Now, what essentially the US did was to set up what's known as the Operation Warp Speed, which is essentially a public-private partnership or arrangement where the US government was investing in the private companies to develop vaccines, which is also what India did, mind you, through the Department of Biotechnology. So essentially, we also followed the same model. Now, the governance model of a pandemic implicitly demands that there's a global equity to vaccines that are developed first, and that there's a sort of a polar position of economically advanced countries being able to produce vaccines and the low-income countries demanding that they get access to those vaccines in as equitable a manner as possible. And that's where international governance mechanisms through the even agencies such as the WHO, which is a technical agency, comes into play. And that role has, as you sought to point out, did come under criticism. And now, therefore, there's a talk of pandemic treaty, which can take in more equitable distribution, etc. What India essentially, the path that India essentially followed was primarily one of what's known as vaccine sovereignty, which is developing your vaccine and making this available for the bulk of your population.
Yes.
And with a bit of vaccine diplomacy, which as we know through Vaccine Maitri, etc., was contribution to neighbors in other countries.
Okay, so that's very well put. The focus was on vaccine sovereignty. But Mahima, please make your point, and then I bring in Rajiv Pandey.
I wish to say, there are 2 points here, Maria. One is a question that did any indigenous vaccine manufacturer also, declare that they can prevent transmission? No, they did not, and they still cannot because it is not possible. Other thing is, there is this government, there's this body called NTAGI, NTAGI, National Technical Advisory Group of Immunization, which has, a former member by the name of Jacob Puliel. And he has asserted that the government lied before the Supreme Court as far as AEFIs were concerned, adverse events following immunization were concerned. And he has also asserted that Corbevax, which was used for the younger age group, was not even given a go-ahead by NTAGI, which is supposed to give a go-ahead. Things like that. And on top of it, we talk about you're saying that you do not politicize it, you do not look at other aspects of it, but I'll have to say what the government did, what the Congress said, it has to be looked at in relation to each other, because what the government
the question here is that here is Pfizer, which is now accepting that they did not know if their vaccine prevented transmission, that they did not have data in vaccines' effectiveness in reducing transmission. So now Pfizer has accepted this. Will the opposition accept that they jumped the gun? That much before, no ma'am. The question here is,
the union minister, you see, the union minister, what he's doing, he's playing a blame game. What he's doing today, he's, trying to put the gun on the shoulders of this international dialogue that's going on, and he's trying to target the Congress in lieu of that. Number one, what we are seeing on the international front is, something very unusual in India these days. That's freedom of press. In India, you cannot go asking.
Okay, let me give the final words to Rajiv Pandey. Rajiv Pandey, now this is taking the turn of freedom of press also now. So the question is, okay, let's look at it from this point of view also, Rajiv Pandey. The opposition was doing its part in questioning every move of the government. Isn't that what they are supposed to do?
Maria ji, opposition can certainly question every move of the government, but it will be better if they question the wrong move of the government, not the right move of the government. You can question. But what I'm saying,
no, but if Pfizer was the first vaccine in the market, then the opposition, how are they wrong in saying that let the Pfizer come in Indian market?
I'll tell you the reason. They should have gone and talked to the government and talked to the person who were in charge, because we were about to complete everything and 2 vaccines were about to come to India for the people. What I'm saying, they are saying, nobody said what is the effectiveness. Government selected these 2 vaccines for the people, and more than 220 crore doses.
There is no
220 crore doses is already. Mahima ji, please allow me to complete. I did not.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying, opposition parties even asking, take that Chinese vaccine. They were trying to on 2 fronts because they were trying to discredit the government. So they were saying these vaccines are useless. You can remember Akhilesh Yadav's statement. And later on, he went and took from a private person that give me vaccine. Modi ji
but the question is that without even understanding whether a particular vaccine is effective or not, why did various parties and various politicians say procure that vaccine? That is the question. And also, here is the company which was bullying India into saying sign the indemnity because they did not want to be held accountable and liable for what has happened. India was right in choosing not to do that. Because it was a slippery slope. We have seen what it has happened in other countries. Thank you so much for your time. Rajiv Pandey, Mahima Singh, Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta. And amidst the Joshimath crisis, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami spoke at News 18's Rising Uttarakhand, saying the locals are being relocated, adding that the government will review the infrastructure policies to ensure a focus on environmental impact so that such disasters are not repeated. Listen in.
धामी जी, बहुत से मुद्दे हैं जो जरूरी हैं, लेकिन फिलहाल एक मुद्दा मैं खास तौर पर लेकर आना चाह रही हूं, जिस पर सिर्फ उत्तराखंड ही नहीं देश के बाहरी राज्यों में भी चर्चा हो रही है। वो है जोशीमठ, और इसको लेकर बहुत तरह की बातें भी फैल रही हैं। लोग दहशत में हैं, पर्यावरणविद कुछ कह रहे हैं, किसी ने कहा पूरा जोशीमठ धंस जाएगा, कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं कि हमें घर नहीं मिलेगा। इस पर सरकार क्या बताना चाहती है?
देखिए, जोशीमठ हमारा एक ऐसा स्थान है जहां पर शंकराचार्य जी के द्वारा सबसे पहला मठ स्थापित किया गया है। पौराणिक, सांस्कृतिक और पर्यटन नगरी भी है। औली भी बगल में है, भगवान बद्री विशाल का जाने वाला मार्ग भी वही है। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि देश की सामरिक दृष्टि से भी वो हमारा बहुत प्रमुख एक स्थान है। तो सबसे बड़ी बात तो यह है कि सबसे पहले तो हम लोगों ने ये प्रयास किया कि किसी तरीके से वहाँ पर जो लोग प्रभावित हुए थे उन सब प्रभावित लोगों को सुरक्षित स्थानों पर लाया जाए। और ऐसे लगभग 270 के लगभग ऐसे परिवार हैं जिनको अभी तक अपने स्थानों से दूसरे स्थानों पर, गेस्ट हाउसों में, होटलों में, सरकारी कार्यालयों में, जहाँ जहाँ भी हम रख सकते थे, हमने उनको रखने का काम किया। और यह संख्या लगभग 900 से ज़्यादा है। इससे भी ज़्यादा वहाँ की जो दुकानें खुल रही हैं, वहाँ का जनजीवन सामान्य है, सारी दुकानों पर जो जो हो सकता है सब कुछ हो रहा है। हाँ, ये जरूर है, कष्ट का विषय तो है ही है। आप समझिए कि जिन लोगों की पूरे जिंदगी भर के घर बनाया, द्वार बनाया, सालों साल से रहा, एक कई पीढ़ी से वहाँ पर लोग रह रहे हैं, उनको अपना घर छोड़ना पड़ रहा है, तो कष्टकारी है। लेकिन उसके साथ एक पक्ष ये है,
एक बात लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि जब आप कंपनसेशन देंगे तो उसमें फेयर होगा, और वो लिस्ट बिल्कुल फेयर होगी। लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि इस पे मुख्यमंत्री बिल्कुल
नहीं, इसमें कहीं कोई किसी प्रकार की कोई शंका नहीं है कि कहीं कंपनसेशन में किसी प्रकार का वो होने वाला है। और इसमें हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का भी पूरा हमको हर तरह से उनका समर्थन है, आश्वासन है, और लगातार वो स्वयं मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं।
सर, एक चर्चा ये भी है और पर्यावरणविद भी इस बात को कह रहे हैं कि क्या अंधाधुंध विकास की भेंट तो नहीं चढ़ गया जोशीमठ? क्या पहाड़ और विकास का मॉडल, जो मैदान का विकास मॉडल है, क्या वो एक जैसा हो सकता है? क्या ये समय है सोचने का कि अब पहाड़ का विकास मॉडल कैसा हो?
देखिए, निश्चित रूप से जब इस प्रकार की जो बातें हो रही हैं या जो परिस्थिति अभी निर्मित हो गई है, आपदा के समय में तमाम प्रकार के जो सब लोगों के अपने अपने व्यूज आ रहे हैं, पर्यावरणविदों के भी आ रहे हैं। हाँ, ये जरूर है कि हमको ये जरूर सोचना है, और ये मैंने पहले भी कहा है कि अब सभी शहर जो हमारे पहाड़ों पर बसे हुए हैं, उन सभी शहरों की धारण क्षमता कि कितना वे वेट सहन कर सकते हैं, कितना वेट वहां पर रखा जा सकता है, उसका हम आकलन करेंगे। और उसके आकलन के आधार पर जो विकास की तेज गति है, निर्माण की तेज गति है, उस पर कैसे किस प्रकार से कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है, किस प्रकार से रोका जा सकता है। अगर कैपेसिटी ज़्यादा हो गई है तो उसको रोकना होगा, उस पर हम लोग काम करेंगे। सभी पर्यावरणविदों का, वैज्ञानिकों का, सबका सहयोग लेके, जो अनुसंधान करने वाले हमारे संस्थान जो अभी वहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं, उसके आधार पर हम लोग आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Government Council. He's the man who took the BCCI to court. Brij Bhusan is sports journalist. Jayaprakash is joint secretary of the WFI and wrestler. Here in our studios, G. Rajaraman, sports commentator. Varsha Chaudhary is a wrestler as well. Let me start with Jayaprakash. आप joint secretary हो WFI का. I think it's got to a situation where Brij Bhusan Singh जो है वो WFI के अध्यक्ष के रूप में अभी काम नहीं कर पाएंगे, बिकॉज रेसलर्स ने बोला है मिनिमम स्टेप, बेसिक मिनिमम स्टेप जो है, दिस हैज टू बी टेकन, ही हैज टू गो। आपका क्या कहना है? क्या बृजभूषण सिंह अभी भी कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं?
देखिए, अभी कोई जो आप बता रहे हैं कि भाई चार्ज लगा रहे हैं या ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई इन्होंने ऐसा किया है सोशल, तो अभी तो कोई किसी ने बोला ही नहीं है कि भाई आप, दूसरे ही लोग तो बता रहे हैं कि भाई इन्होंने इस तरह से यौन शोषण किया है। आप कोई ऐसा तो सामने नहीं आया उठ के कि भाई हाँ मेरे साथ ये हुआ है।
नहीं, विनेश फोगाट ने जो आज बोला है, आपने सुना भी है, विनेश फोगाट ने जो बोला कि कल तक 2-3 लड़कियां ही थी, आज 5-6 लड़कियां उनके संपर्क में हैं और उनको ये मजबूरी ना की जाए कि वो पुलिस कंप्लेंट किया जाए। आपने सुना ना?
देखिए, एक नहीं, मैंने सुना है, आपने सुना है, अच्छे से सुना है, पर ये बताइए कि मैं भी ओलंपियन हूं, मैं भी कोई अगर इस तरह की बात बोलूंगा कि विश्वास किया जाएगा कि एक ही दम मैं बोल दूंगा कि भाई ये हो रहा है, तो क्या आप विश्वास करेंगे मेरा?
नहीं सर, क्या बात कर रहे हैं? 3-3, 4-4 ओलंपियन रेसलर्स जो हैं, जो महिलाएं हैं, वो सड़क पे बैठे हैं और आरोप लगा रहे हैं पूरे मीडिया के सामने, पूरे देश के सामने। क्या आप कह रहे हैं कि वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं?
ठीक है, नहीं ठीक है, आप वो आरोप लगा रहे हैं तो मैं क्या सच मान लेंगे? क्या आप लोग सच मान रहे हो क्या इस बात को?
सर जी, उसमें तो कार्रवाई होगी, पुलिस कंप्लेंट होगी, एफआईआर होगी, वो मैं मान सकता हूं, वो गलत नहीं है, लेकिन कम से कम वो इस्तीफा तो दे दें, कम से कम वो ये कह दे कि मैं पेंडिंग इंक्वायरी स्टेप डाउन कर रहा हूं, इतना तो बनता है।
नहीं वो क्यों बोल दे, ये कह दें कि भाई हाँ ये मैंने किया है,
क्योंकि आरोप तो उनके खिलाफ है, इसलिए तो उनको स्टेप डाउन करना पड़ेगा। आरोप तो आपके खिलाफ नहीं है या मेरे खिलाफ नहीं है, आरोप तो उनके खिलाफ है, तो नैतिक तौर पे तो जिम्मेदारी बनती है ना उनकी।
क्या आरोप है?
यौन शोषण की आरोप है।
कौन आरोप कौन बता रहा है?
करप्शन के आरोप है, भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप है।
ये 2-3-4 ओलंपियन मैं भी लेके बैठ जाऊं, मैं भी आरोप लगाने लगूं, मानेगा?
क्या बात कर रहे हैं जयप्रकाश जी, मतलब देश देख रहा है, सुन रहा है, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं?
बताइए मुझे एक ही बात।
नहीं, आप थोड़ा मतलब ध्यान से बोलिए क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं। ठीक है, आप ये कह सकते हैं कि ये आरोप तो नहीं FIR होनी चाहिए, कोर्ट में जानी चाहिए, ये सब ठीक है, मैं मान सकता हूं, लेकिन ये तो मत कहिए कि 3-4 आदमी के साथ बैठ जाओ और मैं भी बोल दूं कि क्या सच हो जाएगा। क्या विनेश फोगाट, बजरंग पूनिया और साक्षी मलिक 3-4 आदमी हैं? आपके नजरिए में वो जरा सा आदमी है, साधारण आदमी है? क्या कह रहे हैं?
स्पोर्ट्समैन है आज, अच्छे नहीं सुनिए, आज अच्छे स्पोर्ट्समैन है, मैं भी बोलता हूँ जी, लेकिन ये थोड़ी है कि आप जब तक इंक्वायरी ना हो, जब तक कोई जांच ना हो, जब तक जांच करानी पड़ेगी।
यही कह रहे हैं कि जांच होना चाहिए, लेकिन जांच तभी हो पाएगी जब ब्रिज भूषण सिंह, and I want G. Rajaraman, V. Krishnaswamy also to weigh in on this. There is no way you can have an independent, unbiased investigation against Brij Bhusan Singh and the coaches as long as the people who are accused of that are still sitting in positions of power. It's as simple as that. You have to step down pending inquiry. Of course, nobody is prejudging the outcome. Let the police go into the heart of the matter and come to a conclusion one way or the other. But I'm convinced that you can't have that person sitting in a position of authority and have an independent inquiry. It can't be possible.
Zaka, what you're saying is right. If the Wrestling Federation of India is conducting an inquiry, then the Wrestling Federation of India president perhaps need to step aside. But if the inquiry is being done by the sports ministry or even by
the police,
for example, or the National Commission of Women, then maybe he can continue where he is and he's not going to influence the witnesses. I think it's important for us to understand that who is going to conduct the inquiry. The sports ministry has asked for a response from the Wrestling Federation of India.
Yep.
And I really believe that the wrestlers must move courts of law, they must move the police, they must move the National Commission of Women, and then perhaps we can talk about how the president needs to step aside so that there is a sense of fair play and justice that comes in when a hearing happens.
I want to ask V. Krishnaswamy. So one of the things that Bajrang Punia today said in his press conference is, just by this gentleman Brij Bhusan Singh stepping down, you are not going to rid his power or his influence on the federation. He's just going to fill it up with a proxy. Now, they are saying the entire WFI needs to be dissolved, an entirely new management, an entirely new federation should come in its place, which does not have Brij Bhusan Singh's influence or control. Do you buy that?
No, I really don't buy that. I mean, you can't say that there is just, if there is just one bad apple, you can't throw away the entire basket. I mean, you just can't get rid of that. I'm sure if India has produced some good wrestling results over the past few years, it's also because there are some good coaches, there are some good officials. I'm sure about that.
योगेश्वर जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। पूरा देश देख रहा है कैसे पिछले 2 दिनों से हमारे जो रेसलर्स हैं वो सड़क पे बैठे हैं, प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं। वो कह
Congress has given itself the pedestal that we are the only national alternative. I think Congress must come to the terms that the public has bigger, greater choices today. It doesn't have to choose the Congress alone.
They'll put women, they'll put children and hide behind them. They are cowards. ये बुज़दिल तो हैं, ये सीधे तो लड़ नहीं सकते। 3 बार लड़ाई की और तीसरी बार तो 90,000 हमने पकड़ लिए थे, चूड़ियां पहना के हमने भेजे थे उनको वापस।
Our athletes are the pride of this nation. They surely deserve better than being forced to sit in the biting cold in Delhi in Jantar Mantar protesting for their basic rights.
No action against Shivaji, no action against R.S. Bharti, and there's no FIR. How can you get away by abusing, threatening governor?
ये तो क्रिमिनल है, इसके लिए कंप्लेंट होनी चाहिए, उसके बाद FIR होनी चाहिए। विनेश फोगाट ने आज ये भी बोला कि कल तक तो दो तीन लड़कियां थी जो उन्होंने जो आरोप लगाए हैं, आज 5 से 6 महाराष्ट्र से, उत्तर प्रदेश से, हरियाणा से, बाकी जगहों से 5 से 6 लड़कियां ऐसे हैं जो उनके संपर्क में हैं जिन्होंने ये आरोप लगाया है। तो आपको लगता है कि तुरंत इस पे FIR होनी चाहिए और पुलिस की कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए?
इसके कानून के सभी कानून का एक कानून बना हुआ है, एक लॉ बना हुआ है हमारी, कि उसके दायरे में रह के हम क्या काम कर सकते हैं, कानून से बाहर रह के हम क्या काम कर सकते हैं। सरकार भी बस एक यही कर सकती है इसमें कि इसकी निष्पक्ष जांच हो, चाहे वो जांच किसी से हो, चाहे CBI से जांच हो। पर जो हम आरोप लगाए हैं, जो अगर जब तक कुछ FIR दर्ज नहीं होगी तब तक मेरे को लगता नहीं ये चीजें होंगी, जब तक कोई सामने आके ये चीजें नहीं बोलेगा। कोई विक्टिम तो इस चीज में होना बड़ा जरूरी है, क्योंकि उसके अलग तो ऐसे तो बीच में कोई ऐसी बात आती है तो लोग जब तक सामने नहीं देखते, प्रत्यक्ष को नहीं देखते कि भाई ये चीजें हैं, तब तक उसमें बड़ी दिक्कतें होती हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद योगेश्वर, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Let me now go across to our guest. We'll be joined in a moment by Rahul Mehra. He's the Delhi Government Counsel. He's the man who took the BCCI to court. Brij Bhusan is sports journalist. Jayaprakash is Joint Secretary of the WFI and wrestler. Here in our studios, G. Rajaraman, sports commentator. Varsha Chaudhary is a wrestler as well. Let me start with Jayaprakash. आप Joint Secretary हो WFI का. I think it's got to a situation where ब्रिज भूषण सिंह जो है वो WFI के अध्यक्ष के रूप में अभी काम नहीं कर पाएंगे, बिकॉज रेसलर्स ने बोला है मिनिमम स्टेप, बेसिक मिनिमम स्टेप जो है, दिस हैज टू बी टेकन, ही हैज टू गो। आपका क्या कहना है? क्या ब्रिज भूषण सिंह अभी भी कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं?
देखिए, अभी कोई जो आप बता रहे हैं कि भाई ये चार्ज लगा रहे हैं या ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई इन्होंने ऐसा किया है सोशल, तो अभी तो कोई किसी ने बोला ही नहीं है कि भाई आप, दूसरे ही लोग तो बता रहे हैं कि भाई इन्होंने इस तरह से यौन शोषण किया है। आप कोई ऐसा तो सामने नहीं आया उठ के कि भाई हाँ मेरे साथ ये हुआ है।
नहीं, विनेश फोगाट ने जो आज बोला है, आपने सुना भी है, विनेश फोगाट ने जो बोला कि कल तक 2-3 लड़कियां ही थी, आज 5-6 लड़कियां उनके संपर्क में हैं और उनको ये मजबूरी ना की जाए कि वो पुलिस कंप्लेंट किया जाए। आपने सुना ना?
देखिए, नहीं, मैंने सुना है, आपने सुना है, अच्छे से सुना है, पर ये बताइए कि मैं भी ओलंपियन हूं, मैं भी कोई अगर इस तरह की बात बोलूंगा कि विश्वास किया जाएगा कि एक ही दम मैं बोल दूंगा कि भाई ये हो रहा है, तो क्या आप विश्वास करेंगे मेरा?
नहीं सर, क्या बात कर रहे हैं? 3-3, 4-4 ओलंपियन रेसलर्स जो हैं, जो महिलाएं हैं, वो सड़क पे बैठे हैं और आरोप लगा रहे हैं पूरे मीडिया के सामने, पूरे देश के सामने। क्या आप कह रहे हैं कि वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं?
ठीक है, नहीं, ठीक है, आप वो आरोप लगा रहे हैं तो मैं क्या सच मान लेंगे? क्या आप लोग सच मान रहे हो क्या इस बात को?
सर जी, उसमें तो कार्रवाई होगी, पुलिस कंप्लेंट होगी, FIR होगी, वो मैं मान सकता हूं, वो गलत नहीं है, लेकिन कम से कम वो इस्तीफा तो दे दें, कम से कम वो ये कह दे कि मैं पेंडिंग इंक्वायरी स्टेप डाउन कर रहा हूं, इतना तो बनता है।
नहीं, वो क्यों बोल दे, ये कह दें कि भाई हाँ ये गलत, ये मैंने किया है,
क्योंकि आरोप तो उनके खिलाफ है, इसलिए तो उनको स्टेप डाउन करना पड़ेगा। आरोप तो आपके खिलाफ नहीं है, मेरे खिलाफ नहीं है, आरोप तो उनके खिलाफ है, तो नैतिक तौर पे तो जिम्मेदारी बनती है ना उनकी।
क्या आरोप है?
यौन शोषण की आरोप है।
कौन आरोप कौन बता रहा है?
करप्शन के आरोप है, भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप है।
3-4 ओलंपियन मैं भी लेके बैठ जाऊं, मैं भी आरोप लगाने लगूं, मानेगा?
क्या बात कर रहे हैं जयप्रकाश जी? मतलब देश देख रहा है, सुन रहा है, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं?
बताइए मुझे एक ही बात।
नहीं, आप थोड़ा मतलब ध्यान से बोलिए, क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं। ठीक है, आप ये कह सकते हैं कि ये आरोप तो नहीं, FIR होनी चाहिए, कोर्ट में जानी चाहिए, ये सब ठीक है, मैं मान सकता हूं, लेकिन ये तो मत कहिए कि 3-4 आदमी के साथ बैठ जाओ और मैं भी बोल दूं कि क्या सच हो जाएगा। क्या विनेश फोगाट, बजरंग पूनिया और साक्षी मलिक 3-4 आदमी हैं? आपके नजरिए में वो जरा सा आदमी है, साधारण आदमी है? क्या कह रहे हैं?
स्पोर्ट्समैन है आज, अच्छे नहीं सुनिए, आज अच्छे स्पोर्ट्समैन है, मैं भी बोलता हूँ जी, लेकिन ये थोड़ी है कि आप जब तक इंक्वायरी ना हो, जब तक कोई जांच ना हो, जब तक जांच करानी पड़ेगी।
यही कह रहे हैं कि जांच होना चाहिए, लेकिन जांच तभी हो पाएगी जब ब्रिज भूषण सिंह, एंड आई वांट जी राजारामन, विकृष्ण स्वामी also to weigh in on this. There is no way you can have an independent, unbiased investigation against Brij Bhusan Singh and the coaches as long as the people who are accused of that are still sitting in positions of power. It's as simple as that. You have to step down pending inquiry. Of course, nobody is prejudging the outcome. Let the police go into the heart of the matter and come to a conclusion one way or the other. But I'm convinced that you can't have that person sitting in a position of authority and have an independent inquiry. It can't be possible.
Zaka, what you're saying is right. If the Wrestling Federation of India is conducting an inquiry, then the Wrestling Federation of India president perhaps need to